Stick. Dana Perino, Le Five.
Always have to be prepared to walk. I could have signed an agreement today, and then you people would have said, oh, what a terrible deal, what a terrible thing he did. No, you have to be prepared to walk. And, you know, there was a potential we could have signed something today. I could have 100% signed something today. We actually had papers ready to be signed, but it just wasn't appropriate. I want to do it right. I'd much rather do it right than do it fast. They wanted to denuke certain areas, and I wanted everything. And the sanctions are there, and I didn't want to give up the sanctions unless we had a real program. Mm-hmm. And they're not ready for that, and I understand that fully. I really do. I mean, they spent a lot of time building it, and that doesn't mean the world has to be happy. But I wanted them to denuke.
Chairman Kim, are you ready to denuclearize?
If I'm not willing to do that, I won't be here right now.
That's a good answer. Wow, that might be the best answer you've ever heard.
All right, so how do you know when the media roots for failure? When they spend days saying Trump will give away the farm, then mock him when he doesn't.
The surprise ending to this very Trumpian cliffhanger is nothing.
This is the second time the United States has lost in Vietnam.
Strike one in Singapore. He didn't get a deal with Kim Jong-un. Now it's strike two in Hanoi. Once again, no deal to denuclearize North Korea, something that he staked a lot of his legacy, a lot of his presidency on.
So Trump left without a deal. Now, if you believe that this is A, a sign of failure, B, represents the whole process, then C, you flunked this quiz. Fact is, walking away is part of the process, which is slow and odd. Sometimes it's better to appear going backwards or making nice, even when it looks really bad. But the lines of communication exist, even when they're crossed. So by walking away, a part of negotiating, we actually move ahead. Trump went there, told the guy, hey, the sanctions stay. That's a first, and that's progress. And it could be that North Korea is unsolvable. But if there's a solution, it involves talking. And I don't know about you, but I feel safer than I did a year ago because of talking. Remember Hawaii? But if you still believe that we conceded a lot with just a meeting, then you're a relic, preferring to settle things through the currency of corpses, meaning war, old people throwing bodies at each other. For you, blood is an endless commodity. But for the more peaceful types, we'll see what happens. Was a daring alternative to the status quo, which is having bureaucrats in Hawaiian shirts telling your family to seek shelter. So this is going to take a while. It's long-term effort with short-term pain. The long-term benefit will bring peace. Short-term pain, the media, who screws the world over by making any deal look like a concession. In short, Trump has a long game, which is better than the media, which has no game at all. Jesse, the media is gloating even though they make the world less safe.
Yeah, you shouldn't be celebrating the fact that North Korea still has missiles pointed at us. It's a very hard problem. If it was easy, the last three presidents would have solved it.
Yes.
I don't like the way they set him up. They say he was going to go over there and sign a bad deal to distract from Cohen. So he goes over there, doesn't sign a bad deal, and now they say he can't deal.
Yes.
I think what happened was...
But he did distract from Cohen.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And we'll have Cohen next on the B block.
It could be in the A block at any time.
Honestly, I think what happened, nice tease, I think what happened is the Chinese probably told Kim to scuttle this thing, to use this as leverage for the trade deal, because remember, Trump said he was going to drop the tariff increase on March 1st. So it's a big kind of gamesmanship between Xi and Trump, and like he says, we'll see what happens. I don't like the deal at all. If they wanted to destroy their main nuclear plant in exchange for dropping all sanctions, that's crazy. It's you know, an obvious phrase, but no deal is better than a bad deal. It's very easy to do a deal, and I think the media likes the idea of a deal, and they don't care what's in it. It was easy to make the Iran deal. Just give them a bunch of cash and let them keep all their missiles. I mean, it's easy to do deals. It's very difficult to do tough deals, and this is a long-term problem.
Dan, this is what you call a lose-lose proposition with the media. If he made a deal, they would say it's a concession. So he doesn't get a deal. Now he's just incompetent.
Right, and that's why I think that leaders have to ignore it.
Yeah.
You just do the right thing, and you move on. You explain it the best that you can. I didn't like the comment from the MSNBC commentator in your montage that this is the second time we lost in Vietnam, and that is obviously so ridiculous and melodramatic. And we are clearly in a better place than we were at the end of 2017.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. And Sue Mi Terry, she's a expert on Korean issues. She said North Korea is the land of no good options.
Yeah.
Okay, but I do think that we're in a better place. But so is Kim.
Yeah.
So now he is in an elevated position. He's like, oh, yeah, look at me. And he's got a little bit of swagger, but he also has our attention. So I don't think that the sanctions are going to get any easier for him. I don't think that his buddies, the Chinese or the Russians, are going to necessarily be of help to him. And he has just raised the bar so high for a third summit that he's going to have to give something. Because apparently there is reporting that the Secretary of State was warning the president, this guy is not coming with good intentions. He doesn't have any plan to do it, but we went ahead with the summit anyway. But now we know where everybody stands.
Yeah. Kennedy, he didn't look that well when he was there, Kim. Didn't he?
No, he looked tired, slow, and corpulent.
Yeah, kind of sweaty.
Those are three adjectives I don't want associated with me when I'm negotiating a big peace treaty. But I will say this. I think the president's right when he says that North Korea can become an economic powerhouse. That's absolutely true. And I think there are a lot of countries in the world who would like to do trade with North Korea that is denuclearized, where the labor camps have been opened and those poor prisoners, those who have survived, are freed, as are their families. And that would be a great story. And I think there are a lot of people who would be snapping up bargains. But I don't think Kim Jong-un would be the leader in such a climate. I really, and he knows this, that if he gives up his nukes, he gives up his power, and he really has nothing else to offer his country, because once they realize that free market barn door can swing open, those horses are going to leave in search of economic mobility and opportunity. And he, by definition, he doesn't want to offer that to his people because he wants to remain in control. He doesn't know how.
Juan, one of the consequences of playing nice is that you play too nice. And I think President Trump got a lot of guff from the media over his statements over Otto Warmbier about saying that he took President Kim Jong-un at his word, and that did not play well here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it particularly didn't play well with Republicans because, I mean, even on this show and this network, we have talked about Otto Warmbier as a victim of a tyrant, and what we've seen from his parents is absolute torture with what they're going through for their kid. And then you have President Trump today saying he takes Kim Jong-un's word. Well, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, Rob Portman from Ohio, but also, a number of the leading Republican senators said, that's unacceptable. Why would you do that? So to me, this plays into, I think, President Trump thinks that the key to negotiation is flattery.
Right.
That I can build a personal relationship, I'll make you feel loved and secure, and then we'll make a deal. Well, it clearly didn't happen. And I think that for lots of people in the foreign policy establishment, they think, well, why don't you do it in a more substantive way in which you think about and plan what it is you're willing to do and what you think the other guy will do? Instead, Trump says, I don't believe our intelligence agencies. I don't believe Dan Coates. I don't believe Gina Haspel. They're wrong. I believe Kim Jong-un. Well, that destabilizes us. And then we give him a platform. Dana was picking up on this. We've elevated Kim Jong-un in this process. Jesse says, hey, well, maybe it's about China and the tariffs deal, and China's putting pressure on them. But again, who put themselves in that position? It was us, because rather than go about serial, step-by-step negotiation, we just took a flyer here, and it really didn't work out.
All right, we got to toss to, guess what? We have Michael Cohen. He's speaking. There he is.
Other than it was very productive. As I said, I'm committed to telling the truth, and I will be back on March 6th to finish up. There's more to discuss. So thank you guys so much. Sorry, I'm sorry you guys had to stick around all day long.
All right, we'll have more of that exciting news in a moment. So, Dana, you were about to say something.
I was going to say something. One is that there's something about the need to be willing to take risks in life. Okay, you hear that. So no risk, no reward.
That you live your life by that, Dana.
No risk. No, that's true. Well, that's true.
Risky business.
Actually, I don't really risk.
You took that plane to Mexico.
That was only one time. I learned my lesson. And I'm not leading a country. But
Yes.
I would say that for anyone who, if you're going to start a business, or if you're going to grow a business, if you're going to make a leap of faith, if you're going to try to make peace with an enemy, that you have to take a risk. And if you do that, you might be rewarded. You also might have a news cycle that doesn't feel very good.
Right.
But that in the long run, the long arc of history will benefit the risk takers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you remember, Juan, because you're a little bit older than I am, Gorbachev was at Reykjavik with Reagan. Reagan walked out and said no deal, and then he got crushed by the media. And then look what happened. They had several other meetings, and things ended up working out. But I do understand your point, because traditionally in diplomacy, and you have these summits, all your underlings line up all of these things that are going to happen, and then it's basically like a big signing ceremony. The problem with that is Kim. He's a dictator, and he doesn't have any underlings that he can farm out any responsibility to.
Well, and he refused to let them talk to the Secretary of State, which I think should have been a tell.
Yeah,
right.
Of course it's a tell.
Right, so it's all Trump, it's all Kim. They're the only individuals that can make this deal, and it's not a lot of time.
As I said, Otto Warmbier really bugs me.
I agree.
I really bugs me. But I don't understand why you take the word of, like, this Saudi prince, Mohammed bin Sultan or whatever. Salman. I don't understand why you take Vladimir Putin's word over our intelligence people. And now you take Kim Jong-un over our intelligence was obvious.
Well, with me either. I think ultimately he's just trying to find peace, and he thinks that's a strategy to do.
But that's not a risk. That's an insult to us as an American people.
I think it is a risk, and what I want to hear from is the Warmbier family. We do know that the chief negotiator agrees with Trump, the Israeli paratrooper Mickey Bergen, who negotiated it, agrees with Trump with what Trump said. But I would like to know the family, because Trump has a good relationship with the Warmbiers.
Great relationship.
So let's wait and see. Okay, President Trump unloading on Michael Cohen. Hear from him next.
Leaving Capitol Hill after his third day of congressional testimony. He was meeting behind closed doors with the House Intelligence Committee. President Trump firing back against his former attorney's claims in an interview airing on Hannity tonight.
As far as Cohen is concerned, he's convicted. He's a liar. He's defrauded at a high level. He's got a lot of problems. And, it was very interesting because he lied so much. I watched some of it. I actually was able to watch some of it. He lied so much, and yet he said, when it came to collusion, the whole hoax with the Russia collusion, it's just a witch hunt hoax, and by the way, very, very bad for our country, because it really stops you from doing what you're supposed to be doing. He said no collusion.
All right, so no collusion.
No collusion. That was the only part he didn't lie about.
That's right. That's right.
That's what's hard about that argument.
Dana, so if he did have the goods on collusion or anything like that, he probably wouldn't be going to jail. He probably would have cut a deal with the prosecutors.
I guess, maybe. I mean, we don't know what's in the Mueller report, so I don't really know. I would ask two questions about the hearing. Did it move the Democrats closer to impeachment? No.
No.
I don't think so. No. In fact, I think that's pretty much consensus.
Really?
No. No. Number two, does it change anyone's opinion about the character of Donald Trump? No. So there's really
don't say nothing, Berger. Are you going to say this was a nothing, Berger?
Okay. No, I think it was a hearing that had to happen. I think it's now behind everybody. The only thing is, I think that there might be an excuse for the Democrats to be able to say we need some more hearings. If you look at Congressman Ocasio-Cortez's questions about money laundering and the insurance claims and the way that she walked down that, and she said, do you think we need to get more information on this? And you need to seek the tax returns. He says,
so what exactly did she allege? That he was devaluing the properties in order to pay less taxes?
I don't know. This is what I think. I think that somebody within maybe SDNY or somebody suggested that would be a good question to ask and get him on the record, because then it allows them to pull more strings. But again, I think that on the two big questions, the answer was no.
Okay. Greg Gutfeld.
I have to say, the best analysis came from Geraldo. He found more in Al Capone's vault than that. Cohen, in a way, the only thing that strikes me, obviously he's a rat, but he exchanged his rat costume for a different rat costume yesterday. He's like Smollett. He knows the media's weakness. Where Smollett knew that a hate crime would get him somewhere, that was the currency. Cohen knew his currency was anti-Trump platitudes. So because he knows that's the opiate for the media, still hurting from 2016. So when he did that soliloquy yesterday, it was like he was running through everything you say at a cocktail party about Trump, in case you got to say Trump. And the media, meanwhile, is like going like, God, this is huge, a bombshell. But it turned out to be more like a mild rash that was gone by the next day. No collusion, Cohen.
It's a 24-hour flu.
Yes, it was. which I think I might have.
Well, Juan, do you agree with Dana's assessment that the Democrats are not any closer to impeachment after the Cohen hearing?
Well, that's a funny one, because I think Dana laid out the scenario exactly right, which is that now you have the Democrats calling for more testimony. People like, is it Alan Weinstein, who's the chief financial officer?
Weisselberg.
And so I think they're going to bring him in.
I don't think he can testify. He has immunity from the Southern District of New York.
I think he will be called, Dana. And I think that other people who are in the same orbit in terms of the finances, the deals that were made, the kind of corruption that Cohen suggested with regard to how Trump presented his finances.
So now they're investigating private business deals from decades ago?
Well, they will, because the door is open.
Okay.
But let me just say, the key here to me is, forget what Michael Cohen said, because you can call him a liar. But you can't forget the documents he produced. He produced documents that showed that as President of the United States, while in the office, the president was involved directly in paying off this porn star, and that is a crime.
Personal expenditure.
Oh, I see.
I've said it so many times,
Thank you. You can be the lawyer, but
he would have done it years before and years after.
A campaign finance fine. That's what we're talking about.
All right, Kennedy.
It's interesting because a couple things. It was very funny when Michael Cohen was asked whether or not he wanted a job in the White House. He said, no, absolutely not.
I think we have that on tape. Could we hear that and then hear his answer before?
You wanted to work in the White House.
No, sir.
You didn't get brought to the dance.
I did not want to go to the White House. I was offered jobs.
Is there a chance
that he'll ask me to go to Washington?
Oh, there's absolutely a chance he's going to ask you to go.
I certainly
Would
hope
you
so.
go?
100%.
100%, Kennedy.
He didn't want to go. Absolutely not. And then he said he was so proud of being the personal attorney to the President of the United States. He's proud to be the personal attorney to the President, whom he's just called a liar, a cheat, and racist. Why would you want to be associated with that person in any capacity? Because those are three things about someone I certainly wouldn't want to associate myself with.
Oh, wait, didn't he say that before?
No.
Oh, I thought he was saying that he was proud to have been this guy's lawyer for 10 years.
No, he said that he didn't
so
need a job
loyal.
in the White House because he was just so proud to be the personal attorney to the President of the United States.
Right. So you're right. He wanted to continue to be Trump's personal attorney.
If he knew for years and years, even through his Stockholm syndrome, that the president was so compromised and awful and racist, and now he's willing to come forward and open his heart and shed his tears because his life is ruined, the whole thing is so stank malarkey.
And now he's a hero. Now he's a folk hero to Alec Baldwin. I mean, how sad is that?
Well, it looked to me though like you used the word rat. I think this thing looks so mafiosi-like. I don't like it. I don't like the whole idea. And I do think that somebody who's now going to jail, whose family is being hurt, might have a decision to make about his legacy, and maybe that's why Democrats could be ready to shake up the 2020 race. First, Joe Biden hinting yet again that he could be close to announcing a possible presidential run.
Yay.
We just had a family meeting with all the grandkids, too, and there's a consensus that the most important people in my life, want me to run. I don't want this to be a fool's errand. I want to make sure that if we do this, and we're very close to getting to a decision, that I am fully prepared to do it. I have not made the final decision, but don't be surprised.
Beto O'Rourke revealing he's made a decision about 2020. He says he's excited to soon share how he can, quote, best serve our country, end quote. O'Rourke also reportedly ruling out another Senate run next year.
Smart.
Kennedy, in fact, the polls show that he would be tied with John Cornyn in a Senate race, and you see a lot of the top Democrats right now thinking it'd be better if Beto ran for Senate. What do you think?
He's definitely got more Senate momentum in Texas, and he's really well known there. He's laid quite a foundation. He was able to raise so much money. He really could be a threat to Cornyn. I don't disagree with that, because when you talk to Democrats and when you talk to independents about Beto O'Rourke, there's no excitement. He's really not an exciting person. And think about what we saw yesterday in North Korea. Can you imagine Beto O'Rourke and Kim Jong-un? Like, what kind of a conversation they would have? It would just be so weird. He's so dorky and awkward. And for some reason, he's infuriating to me. But what I do think is going to happen, he's such a beta male. Like, his nickname Beto is so appropriate, because swap out an A for the O, and he is Beto O'Rourke. I think that he wants to be vice president, which is just god-awful. And he's probably going to announce with Joe that that is the solid ticket.
Oh, you think it would be
Biden O'Rourke.
Oh, really?
Very intersectional, yes.
Wow. What do you think, Jesse? But, Jesse, you know, let's go to Biden for a second, because Biden's run twice before. He says...
How'd that go?
Not well for him, right? But, of course, he did win with Obama. But let's just say he's right now indicating that he's looking at social media for young people. He wants to understand if the support that he's hearing about now is sincere, if it's solid, or if it will dissipate once he announces.
I'm glad you brought that up, because this is an actual quote from Joe Biden. He said, "We're taking a hard look at whether or not this alleged appeal I have, how deep does it run? Is it real?"
Oh.
Biden doesn't even know if people like him.
Put a ring on it, right?
Because, what did they say? Trump called him 1% Biden. The man has no base. He's going to get out there, and it's going to just deflate. Remember Rudy Giuliani? High poll numbers in the primary in the 20s. And he actually, when the rubber hit the road, it just went, woo, right downhill.
I'm going to wait till Florida.
And that's what's going to and that's what's going to happen to Biden. The minute Biden gets into a debate, and Kamala and Pocahontas and Booker, they start sinking their teeth into him, I think he's too clumsy to handle these attacks on identity, and he's not going to last, and he should just go out, make money. The Trump economy is strong, and, you know, ride off into the sunset with a nice, decent legacy that he has.
Dana, what do you think about his preoccupation at this moment with social media?
Well, I think he's actually too preoccupied with what his family thinks about what he should do. I mean, it's like we've been in this family focus group with him for about 2 years, as his grandchildren want him to run. Like, my grandfather would have been an amazing president as well. Leo Perino, but amazing.
Wait, how old are his grandchildren, by the way?
I'm not sure, but the peekaboo game from Biden and Beto is tiresome, and I think a couple of things. One, indecision is going to turn off the hard left. If you can't show that you are able to, you have what it takes, you have the fire in the belly to take on Donald Trump and to run against this guy, then you're just not going to get them. But neither of these two need to give themselves any artificial deadlines. If I were Biden, I'd wait. If the most important things to Democrats is electability, let all these other characters campaign for a few months, and let's see if they're actually electable, and then get in and try to save the day.
What about money, though? I mean, I guess that would be the only thing that would force someone's timeline.
No. It might be. I mean, but see, the thing about Beto is also a lot of that money came from out of state. I think that if he ran for Senate in Texas, it's fool's gold for Republicans. They always lose.
But
I mean, the Democrats always lose.
You were talking about Biden.
Who?
You.
When running money. For money, yeah.
No, I was talking about Biden trying to figure out when to get in.
If I were Beto, I would run now, because Joe Biden had a moment to run. It was 2016. He chose not to, and I think maybe the time has passed. But if he would come on the show for the daily briefing, I would.
That'd be great. That'd be great. We suggest you do it, Mr. Vice President. By the way, I think you got to give him a little space on the family stuff, because Bo's
No, I know. Look, I don't want anyone to suggest that. Look, I understand that. Of course, his son, who passed away, said his dying wish was, "Dad, I want you to run." But since then, the clip we just showed, my grandchildren think I should run. I'm like, okay, but at some point, you got to show that you think that you want to run against Trump because you want to run for the country, not because your grandchildren want you to.
So, Greg, I want you to take on Kennedy, because Kennedy is putting down Beto O'Rourke as a beta male.
I want to talk about Beto and Biden. First, every time I see Beto is not exciting. He's excitable.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I think of a buzzed
with his arms.
Yeah, he's like a buzzed college kid at Thanksgiving dinner, excitedly telling the family about that class he's taking on Noam Chomsky. And when he leaves, everybody at the table is going, did he take something in the bathroom? Because he's really, really hyped up. Yeah. Biden is like a redhead at the beach. He's got no base. Why enter a race when you're going to have to leave? Because I feel like the media has already selected Kamala Harris. He's like the old white guy at the rave. And people just want him to leave so they could break out the ecstasy. The only way Biden can win, and I believe this seriously, and he could win big, is to go talk to the Obamas and convince Michelle to be his VP.
Interesting.
Then for 4 years, he's got Michelle as VP. He steps aside. Then you get 8 years of Michelle Obama, 12 years of the Obamas. That's what you do. And I expect my check from the DNC tomorrow.
Twitter is going to be lit.
Don't you think that's what you do?
I think Beto O'Rourke might be the vice presidential on the ticket with Biden, but I don't know.
Two white guys?
I think that's the package
Two
deal.
white guys?
They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Everyone
I
wants
don't
to
think
be
they
president.
can do two white guys. I just don't think they can.
Well,
Kamala, are you okay? Kamala Harris sparking a new debate on whether sex work should be decriminalized. The 2020 Democratic candidate saying she now supports the idea. How convenient. Watch.
I do. There's an ecosystem around that that includes crimes that harm people. And for those issues, I do not believe that anybody who hurts another human being or profits off of their exploitation should be free of criminal prosecution. But when you're talking about consenting adults, I think that, yes, we should really consider that we can't criminalize consensual behavior.
Oh, how big of you! Well, she's being accused of hypocrisy for those comments, given her record as a prosecutor. And in 2008, when they were talking about decriminalizing sex work in the great city of San Francisco, she said, I don't want a bunch of pimps and prostitutes coming here, and was instrumental in shutting down Backpage.com, where sex workers were able to screen prospective clients. Dana.
Well, I was just going to say that when you're a prosecutor, though, your job is to prosecute whatever the laws are. So, as you could have you could
there are a lot
choose
of laws.
not to, or not. There are a lot of laws, but that's the
and there's
thing.
a lot
and you're
of
allowed to change your mind,
especially in the state of California.
But if somebody changes their mind and you're for it, shouldn't you just say, "Great"?
No, because I worry they're going to change their minds back to something that I despise out of convenience and political opportunity. She's done the same thing with cannabis. And there are a lot of people rotting in prison in California because of some of the decisions that she made as a district attorney and attorney general. And now she's conveniently saying, well, if it's consenting, if it's a consensual transaction between adults. I don't think she believes that. Greg? Where do you stand on all of this?
She's running on pot and hookers, and I think that's awesome. I'm with Dana. I think if somebody changes their mind, I will support them. Van Jones created a stir at CPAC for telling conservatives they deserve credit for prison reform. So I do have to say that she deserves credit for, I don't know, what you call legalizing sex work. I do believe I don't have to convince you. Transactions between consenting adults in which both parties agree to the rules, how can that be subject to prison? How can you go to jail for that? Blows my mind. People will say, well, what about trafficking? Well, prosecute that. You'll do a better job if you focus on trafficking and leave the professionals and the customers out of your way. Yeah. Because like the stuff about Backpage and whatever, Craigslist, a lot of this stuff, these are people making deals.
Well,
they're like buying
a lot of Backpage stuff, though, was trafficking. If you send it,
I wouldn't know, Dana.
Well, I covered it as a story. That's how I know.
You covered it?
Yeah.
All right.
Ask Senator Rob Portman.
Why? Was he on Backpage?
No, he was part of the... No, he was part of the... he pushed to get it closed down because of the human trafficking issues. And but I think that you're right. I think the human trafficking part, if you want to really focus on that, if you take the other part away, you would actually have more resources.
Then you create an even darker black market. And that's the problem, because when you force things deeper and deeper into the shadows and you further criminalize this activity, the black market grows. That's not a good thing, Juan.
I'm not sure
people are going to do what they're going to do.
Look,
and you're not going to affect the demand, because it's the world's oldest profession, because the demand is there.
Yeah, but I think the violence and the kind of threats and the abuse and the larger sex trafficking we saw in the Bob Kraft case in Florida.
Allegedly.
I think that's what we've got to go after. So I was struck today to see the New York Daily News here in New York come out and say, yeah, we agree with Kamala Harris. We think it's time that you take away the violence, you take away the intimidation, you take this out of the dark Kennedy, and allow people who are of a consensual bond to do what they want to do, but then go after the people who are setting up the deals. That, to me, makes sense. I think it's a waste of our resources to go after what you just described as the oldest profession in the world.
I think she forgets she's running for president of the United States of America and not California. Look at these radical positions she's taken. Legalize prostitution. She's for reparations. Legalizing weed. She wants to get rid of Columbus Day and replace it with Indigenous Peoples Day. She wants to get rid of private health insurance. She is pro-Colin Kaepernick. She is pro-Green New Deal. She is for open borders and partial birth abortion. If she's going to have to tack back to the center if she gets this nomination, she's going to get shredded by the president. It's going to get ugly.
Are you her communications director?
I should be.
I think so.
If she wins, I'm going to need the pot and the hookers.
So we're moving Wildcard Wednesday to Thursday because it's fun, and I'm going to open this up and not spin it too much more. We only have like 4 minutes.
Oh, it's great.
While Foo Fighters, Pearl Jam, and Melvin's members have formed a new supergroup. Whose is this?
Me.
And this is speculation for a new supergroup. Are you excited about this?
I don't like supergroups except, and Kennedy will probably agree with me, this is a great supergroup. You got King Buzzo from the Melvins.
Amazing.
Amazing. You got the Foo Fighters and Soundgarden. These are kind of like, I know it's a grunge supergroup, but having King Buzzo supergroup, yeah, I'm on cloud 9.
Who are the Melvins?
What?
Oh, my God.
Get him out of here. Yes. Oh.
That's the question, brother. That's the question. I'm telling you, what are we talking about?
Okay, Martha Stewart teams up with legal marijuana producer to make products for pets. Okay, I could get into this. Stewart has signed on a Canopy Growth. They're going to make products using CBD products for humans as well and things like that. Whose is this?
That is
Had to
mine.
be yours.
Martha Stewart, she's getting into the reefer game. How smart is this? This is going to be a
This is how she makes money,
multi-billion-dollar company. A lot of people are looking for cannabis stocks to invest in. This might be the one.
So is Wiener. Wiener's doing it. Wiener's the spokesman.
Watch your language.
Wait, I don't get it.
Boehner.
She wants...
Boehner.
No, Wiener. Anthony Wiener.
Wiener too, Dana.
Wiener and Boehner?
All sorts of people getting in the weed game.
They want pets to be high.
No.
They want to alleviate pain.
Yes.
So pets with inflammation
this doesn't get you high, the CBD.
I actually, can I confess
your
something?
life, yes.
A girlfriend of mine, Marie Unanwe, gave me some CBD oil for my muscle tension in my upper back, and I have to say it works quite well.
Yeah, I think that's why she's getting...
You take pot? You're a drug addict.
No. It's not THC. CBD is not psychoactive.
But I want her to feel really guilty about breaking the law.
I said I was announcing something. Okay, another one. A mom on a 10-hour flight hands out 200 bags of candy, earplugs, in case a baby cries. This is mine. So this is a mom who is worried because she's taking the kid on the first flight. So she gets on the plane with little Junwoo, and this is what the note says. I'm 4 months old. Today I'm going to be flying with my mom and grandmom. Oh, I hope I can be quiet, etc. And apparently she didn't make a peep the entire flight. But isn't that a nice thing?
Wow.
Very common.
I'd say do less, Mom.
Hey, no, they got to hand out
extra.
Hand out airplane bottles of booze.
That's a good idea, too.
For kids, why
Yes.
not?
Babies love the white noise on planes, and the young ones tend to sleep. It's the toddlers who raise holy hell on airplanes.
You better bring me alcohol,
18
not
months,
candy.
Yeah, that's when you need the Tito's.
So we had a story this week where a woman made a scene on a plane because she was seated next to a child, and she had to be taken off.
Yeah,
the kid got to fly.
Bumped. All right. Uber driver offers customers ride-type menu. George, the Uber driver, gives his customers the option of how they want their trip to go. If they want jokes, if they want him to be rude or therapy or silent. Whose is this?
This is mine, because, I mean, we get in cabs and we get in cars all the time. But this guy's broken it down so you know exactly what you're buying. You can say to him, I want to hear jokes. And he can be a funny guy. Or you can say, I want a scary ride. And he will not say a word. He'll just glance at you in the mirror.
5 stars, indeed. All right, this must be yours, Jesse. North Carolina considers dropping F grade to 39% for state public schools. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel good about it. I think failing is good for character. I think everyone here, I'm sure besides Dana, has failed something, has gotten a big, fat F. Did you get an F?
I can't think of what. Did I ever get an F? Oh, yes. On our first, in graduate school, our first writing assignment, everybody, the 18 of us, everyone got an F.
Oh. Right.
Yeah.
That was like a
now
lesson.
you can pass with what, a 40%? I mean,
39%.
that's pathetic.
Yeah.
That's why the Chinese are taking over.
Yeah, I'm not for this either. And then, before you know it, we're going to be smoking more pot and
with our pets. Our happy pets.
But at least
legalize sex work with pets.
At least there will be a new supergroup.
Yes.
For all,
King Buzzo.
For our enjoyment. So we're moving Wildcard Wednesday to Thursday because it's fun, and I'm going to open this up and not spin it too much more. We only have like 4 minutes.
Oh, it's great.
While Foo Fighters, Pearl Jam, and Melvin's members have formed a new supergroup. Whose is this?
Me.
And this is speculation for a new supergroup. Are you excited about this?
I don't like supergroups except, and Kennedy will probably agree with me, this is a great supergroup. You got King Buzzo from the Melvins. Amazing. You got the Foo Fighters and Soundgarden. These are kind of like, I know it's a grunge supergroup, but having King Buzzo supergroup, yeah, I'm on cloud 9.
Who are the Melvins?
What?
Oh, my God.
Get him out of here. Yes. Oh.
That's the question, brother. That's the question. I'm telling you, what are we talking about?
Okay, Martha
Created
Stewart
grunge.
teams up with legal marijuana producer to make products for pets. Okay, I could get into this. Stewart has signed on a Canopy Growth. They're going to make products using CBD products for humans as well and things like that. Whose is this?
That is
Had to
mine.
be yours.
Martha Stewart, she's getting into the reefer game. How smart is this? This is going to be a
This is how she makes money,
multi-billion-dollar company. A lot of people are looking for
So is-
cannabis stocks to invest in. This might be the one.
So is
Canopy
Wiener.
Growth.
Wiener's doing it. Wiener's the spokesman.
Watch your language.
Wait, I don't get it. So
Boehner.
she wants
Boehner.
No, Wiener. Anthony Wiener.
Wiener too, Dana.
Wiener and
they're
Boehner?
all
What is
sorts of
happening?
people getting in the weed game.
They want pets to be high. Is that
No,
what
no,
they're
no.
saying?
They
they're
want
just
to
gonna make-
alleviate pain.
Yes.
So pets with inflammation
this
and for
doesn't get you
joints.
high, the CBG.
I actually, can I
Extends
confess
your
something?
life, yes.
A girlfriend of mine, Marie Unanwe, gave me some CBD oil for my muscle tension in my upper back, and I have to say it works quite well.
Yeah, I think
You know
that's
what?
why
I
she's
use
getting...
You
CBD
take
cream.
pot? You're a drug addict.
No.
It's not
It's not
THC. CBD is not
I-
psychoactive.
but I want her to feel really guilty about breaking the law.
I said I was
It's legal
announcing
in New York.
something.
It's
Okay,
legal.
another
It's
one.
not
A
breaking
mom
the law.
on a 10-hour flight hands out 200 bags of candy earplugs in case a baby cries. This is mine. So this is a mom who is worried because she's taking the kid on the first flight. So she gets on the plane with little Jun Woo, and this is what the note says. I'm 4 months old. Today I'm going to be flying with my mom and grandmom. Oh, I hope I can be quiet, etc. And apparently she didn't make a peep the entire flight. But isn't that a nice thing?
Wow.
Very
Very
have done
common.
that?
I'd say do less, Mom.
Hey, no, they got to hand out the
little
little
extra.
hand out airplane bottles of booze.
That's a good idea,
Yeah.
too.
For kids, why
Yes.
not? That's excellent.
Babies love the white noise on planes, and the young ones tend to sleep. It's the toddlers who raise holy hell
Yeah,
on airplanes.
you better bring me alcohol,
18
not
months,
candy.
Yeah, that's when you
All
need
right.
the Tito's.
So we had a story this week where a woman made a scene on a plane because she was seated next to a child and she had to be taken off.
Yeah,
The
she
kid got to fly.
bumped. All right. Uber driver offers customers ride type menu. George, the Uber driver, gives his customers the option of how they want their trip to go. They want jokes, if they want him to be rude or therapy or silent. Whose is this?
This is mine, because I mean,
Jesus.
we get in cabs and we get in cars all the time. But this guy's broken it down so you know exactly what you're buying. You can say to him, I want to hear jokes. And he can be a funny guy. Or you can say, I want a scary ride. And he will not say a word. He'll just
5 stars.
glance at you in the mirror.
5 stars.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. This must be yours, Jesse. North Carolina considers dropping F grade to 39% for state public schools. How do you feel about that?
I don't feel good about it. I think failing is good for character. I think everyone here, I'm sure besides Dana, has failed something, has gotten a
failed
big fat F. Did you get an F?
I can't think of what. Did I ever get an F? Oh, yes. On our first, in graduate school, our first writing assignment, everybody, the 18 of us, everyone got an F.
Oh. Right.
That
So
was
now,
like a
now
lesson.
you can pass with what, a 40%? I mean, that's
39%.
pathetic.
Yeah.
That's why the Chinese are taking over.
Yeah, I'm not for this either. And then, before you know it, we're going to
7 days a week.
be smoking more pot and
with our pets, our happy pets.
But at least we
Legalize
have-
sex work with pets.
At least there will be a new supergroup
Yes.
for all
King
for
Buzzo.
our enjoyment.